Just wanted to talk about, I don't know if you've sat there in church or listened to sermons where somebody's quoting the Bible, but they're quoting the Mandela Effect verse. So they're like, maybe they're big in the KJV or something like that, and they're up there and they're quoting it. And it just makes you cringe when they say it that way. Of course, there's a lot of people, a lot of Christians who will, say that's heresy to say that the Bible can change, and they'll really be angry at you for saying that. But if you know it's changed, you've seen it's changed, you know what you've remembered, there's just no going back. So I was listening to this sermon, and the guy was quoting the Lord's Prayer, and of course he went to the KJV, and when he got to the point where he said, "Let thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven," I just cringed. I was like, oh, it's just not right. I mean, really, I don't even want to go there, but it just is just messed up. And that's the KJV only, but things like that just make me cringe. I really cringed hard when I heard the pastor call God the many-breasted one, and the verses in the Bible that have changed relating to that. I just heard an interesting little debate. I'll probably give you the link, and it's Christians or people claim to be Christians who are claiming that we should be more accepting of the homosexual and LGBTQT and the transgenders and all that. So they're in this debate, and the Christians on one side of the table have someone who's kind of an expert in Aramaic and Hebrew and all that. So she knows what she's talking about, and the other person is trying to say that they're trying to kind of twist the word a little bit. But I was thinking when I was listening to this, if Christians knew this King James 1611 King James version that kind of supports their homosexual thing because it's changed, and two, what this expert said about the Hebrews and Hebrew culture goes completely against this verse even existing. This verse should not even exist in the Bible. So let me play this clip and let you hear it first.
Very clear, son.
Hold on, I lost the spot. Somehow it got moved. Okay, let's see here if this is it.
It's possible as well, but true believers will from the heart manifest the...
Nope, that's not the place. Sorry. It bounced on me. Here it is.
The Bible has been translated multiple times, and there is proof and evidence stating that most of those translations from those scriptures, they were actually saying a man should not lay with a child. It was not man and man.
Kiko's absolute ignorance about the Bible is shockingly astounding. I don't know what this woman's name is, but listen to her great response to Kiko.
I speak Hebrew. I'm sorry, I can't listen to that false. I learned the Bible in the original language that was written. I learned in Aramaic and I learned in Hebrew, and it's never a child. It's a man should not lay in bed with another man. And so Jews don't even share beds. Like on sleepaway trips, if we went on overnight, Jews, two guys, are not allowed to even share a bed for a sleepover because it's that serious that it also even more so means that you should not do anything gay.
There are...
All right, so... She's giving a little insight there about how it's written culturally and culturally how they won't even lay in the same bed together. Now take that and ask yourself, if you don't believe the Bible's changed, if you don't believe the Mandela Effect is real and that the Bible is impossible to change, how did this verse in the 1611 KJV, how did this verse get in there? And this is in Luke chapter 17, verse 34. It says, I tell you, in that night, talking about, basically it's a parable about the Lord's return, talking about Jesus' return. I tell you, in that night, there shall be two men in one bed. The one shall be taken and the other shall be left. So how does that verse come into the Bible when culturally the Jews won't even share a bed just on a sleepover, just innocently they won't even share a bed because the Bible's so against that? How is this verse in there? And how is it I've lived so long, growing up, preaching and all that, having the church, evangelizing, talking to people who are, definitely wanting to argue and debate. How come this verse has never been used as an argument for homosexuality? I just haven't heard it yet. I'm sure things are changing, and it might, because I'm hearing more and more pastors say Mandela affected verses. I've heard, how many have heard pastors, I've heard this, in the last few years, where they're quoting Isaiah 11:6, and they actually refer to the wolf dwelling with the lamb. They're reading it now. They're reading it, and they're reading the wolf should dwell with the lamb. I just cringe like crazy because this never occurred up until I was 48. None of this stuff would have happened. And now, we've had 7 years past, and more of these verses that have changed are finding themselves behind the pulpit. And yet you've got verses like this. And yet, people want to argue that there's no evidence that the Mandela effect is real. This is evidence right here. This is huge evidence. The fact that this verse is in the 1611 version of the KJV Bible, the fact that this verse has any place at all culturally with the Hebrew and how everything is translated, this is proof and evidence. What more do you need? Anyway, I wanted to share that. I'll give you the link to this little debate. It's kind of interesting, but had to share it. It's been on my heart to talk about, these cringeworthy statements that I hear from the pulpit because they're Mandela affected. And then I'm listening to this, and I was like, man, what more evidence do you need than somebody saying culturally this does not happen? And yet it's in your oldest version of the KJV. It didn't get re-updated. This is what it's been since 1611 in this world that we're now in, this ever-changing reality, Mandela affected world. Not that, I'm not seeing things change around me like I used to, but something has occurred and this verse is still there. So until it's gone, I'm going to keep pointing these things out. So anyway, God bless. Hope you all have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.